Hi, everybody, and welcome to our Lipedema Patient Roundtable. It is our September edition. Before we went live, we were all talking about what are we going to wear for October in our second annual costume Lipedema Patient Roundtable. Ooh, if you have any ideas, put them in chat what we should wear. We know that you're logging on right now, so we welcome you. We thank you for giving us 1 hour of your month. It's an hour I wouldn't miss, no matter what's going on in my life, because of these amazing women right here who I love and cherish and who always bring such great information and inspiration to the table. So I'll do my regular introductions, and I will start with my friend, Dr. Lindy McHutchenson, who's such a busy woman with Carolina Vein Center and such a busy practice. And yet she is an expert in lipedema, one of the authors of the standard of care for lipedema in the United States. We are honored to have you here, Dr. McHutchenson, and we love you. She's muted, but that's all right. She won't be later on. Pale Ginger Pear, the curvy beauty who I absolutely have been inspired by watching your transformation. We want to talk about you experiencing this transformation of your body, and have you even comprehended it yet? You know, we'll talk about that later on in the evening, but we're so glad you're here, PGP. Cheryl Skolage, mouth Brenda, of lipedema and food sensitivities, and lipedema diva, she's also known as. Mwah. Wonderful to see you, Cheryl, and always bringing great information. And just to tease everybody, can you lift up your hands? Okay, we're going to talk about what she's going on there with her hands later on. We talked about it at our little after party last month, and we were like, this is something everybody needs to know about. So stay tuned for that. Susie Boshoff, Lipedema Living. We're so happy to have you here. We missed you last month, but you were busy being a grandmom again, right?
Yes.
Okay, well then that's acceptable. We'll give you a pass with that. The Lippy Butterfly, you're in a new background this month. What's going on with that?
Yes, indeed. I have finally moved to my new home with my mother, who's in the background here. And as you can see, we're still getting settled, but I'm finally here.
I am so happy for you. And hi, Mom. Everybody say hi to Lippy Butterfly's mom. Woo! We're so glad you had the beautiful butterfly, and we're glad you're here to join us. And I just saw my friend Linda Anne Kahn show up. Linda is not only a very well-versed lymphedema therapist, lipedema patient and therapist, one of the authors of the standard of care for lipedema in the United States. And I have to tell you, we have bonded recently because she is an inspirational figure in my life as well. She posted something on Facebook recently that actually helped me through one of the most difficult times in my life. And I'll share that with you all later. But Linda Anne Kahn, thank you for being here tonight. We love you. And of course, my good friend, Patty Cornute of Lipedema Fitness. And you have had so much activity. You've done some shows with your coach and Crystal's coach. We want to catch up with you and see everything that's going on in your world. I want to see what's happening in chat before we go any further. Marcia Witt says it's her favorite night of every month. Thank you so much. You know what? It's ours too, Marcia. We love it and we love you. Amanda Hadaway, hello, everyone. And Cassie Groves, but one of these days I'm going to ask you how to pronounce your last name, Cassie. But we appreciate you so much. You've been such a support of the roundtable. And Pat, it's our first time here from Dubois, Indiana. Welcome to the roundtable. We always have an extra seat at the table for all of you. And oh, it's a Hoosier? Is that what you're saying, Lippy Butterfly? Yeah, okay, got it. Well, we want to get our conversation started. If you have any questions for any of our panelists, please put them in the chat. Oh, and I see my friend Nita Cluis has joined us, and she has not been able to for the last few months because she is one busy lady. She also has a really terrific Facebook page. In fact, can you put in the chat what the name of your Facebook page is? Because I have a little bit of brain fog tonight. Nita, we thank you. We love you and appreciate your support. And oh my goodness, you would think it couldn't get any better. Oh, Dr. Herbst. Thank you for being here. We love you. So, everybody, you know, what you need to know, and I wasn't going to say anything, but I think I need to say anything because I'm especially emotional tonight. And I went through a very difficult loss in the last few weeks. My partner, Mark, who I often talk about, suddenly passed away, and I was left alone and grieving. And I want you all to know, every one of these people, and many of you that have logged on, Nita Cluis included, swooped in to surround me with love. And I want you to know that what you see and feel here at this roundtable is real. It's not manufactured. It's not about pushing lymphopress pumps, although I'm delighted to help any of you with that. It's about genuine connection. And, you know, we do get by with a little help from our friends. And so I'm really honored to call all of you friends. And I'm going to hold it together tonight and put on my brave face, because you know what you all do. You all go through pain, you all face your trials, and you show up. You show up for your families, your friends, your jobs. You keep showing up. And that's what we're going to do for you. We're going to keep showing up. So I thank you, everyone, for your love and your good wishes. And I want to talk about some of the things I've seen on social, but I always feel like I need to go to Dr. Herbst first and say, what the heck's going on in your world? And is there anything new we need to know? Because we just love and appreciate you.
Aw, you're so kind. And I'm giving you a big virtual hug.
Thank you. I receive it.
Well, I had a loss too recently, and I've not recovered. I'm still kind of looking at life and trying to figure out what does it all mean, and where am I, and what should I really be doing right now, and what can I be accomplishing? I had a quick question that Lindy and I have discussed, and this is kind of a Lindy question, but how many women with lipedema have infertility? Are there a lot, or is it just the same as the regular population, or is it a lot lower and the extra lipedema fat tissue allows women with lipedema to stay fertile compared to the rest of the population?
And Karen, thank you for bringing that up. Karen knows, and I'm just going to say it bluntly, I have a bug up my butt about a particular idea and aspects of possible sort of cause relationship with lipedema, and it has to do with ovulation and infertility. And I'm very curious, you know, how many women with lipedema have infertility. And I'm also very curious, and I'm actually putting together a survey monkey that I will put up on some of the lipedema websites about bariatric surgery, and those who have had bariatrics. Did they continue to have their periods normally if they had not yet had a hysterectomy? So that's where this question's coming from, because I wear Karen out with it, and I've sort of gone down a complete different crazy path than everyone else out on the skinny branches. So I'm very interested to know.
If we can help get that survey monkey out to any of our listserv, we would love to help with that. And can I just tell you, hearing you say, I have a bug up my butt made me laugh. I needed a good laugh, Lindy McHutchenson. So thank you for posing it that way. I'm looking forward to Susie also saying something salty soon. Folks, we need to find the funny wherever we can, because life is darn serious sometimes, and dealing with lipedema can be so challenging. Finding the funny is so important. So thank you for bringing that, and thank you for sharing that. That's an interesting thought. Amanda Hadaway put a question in chat here for the doctors. Is there an answer as to why lipedema ladies light up airport scanners more than those without lipedema? And I see Pale Ginger Pear laughing a little bit over there, and some of you nodding. So we would love the medical opinion, and any anecdotal information that you all want to share, go for it.
I will say that it lights up where the tissue is denser. So whether it's dense because of fibrotic tissue or dense because of fluid. And I have like I have a spot on my back that lights up every single time. And that's where I have a mast cell concentration. It's always itchy in that spot. So it's a little thicker because it's been inflamed and gotten a little fibrotic over time. Not that anyone else would notice it, but I notice it. And so I think that's why. If you layer anything, like if you have a Kleenex in your pocket, that could show up. Anytime you layer clothing, like if you wear a Spanx top and then, a bra and maybe a abdominal binder, that's going to light up.
Interesting. I heard someone say question. Go ahead, Pale Ginger Pear.
So I've been traveling a ton in the last 2 years to go out to LA, and each time, of course, I have to be patted down after the scanner, but every time less and less areas are lighting up.
Really?
And it's the areas from the where we've done surgery. It's really weird to see, because like each time I'll be like, oh, it's gonna light up here, here, and here. And the lady just kind of like looks at me. I think she assumes I'm like smuggling something. And I'm like, no, it's just compression and lipedema. But every time, like, it's gotten less and less through the scanner. It's really weird to see. And you can see it, like, because I look back at the screen and you can see like chunks of it on the thighs, the arms. It used to be the abdomen. Like it's kind of, I almost wish it could be a test to show you have lipedema. Like walk through a scanner.
There you
Here
go.
you know.
Well, it could be the glow you've got going on too. Megan Frew says, Cara, you are glowing. It's so awesome. We're so happy for you. I don't think I've ever seen you quite so happy, Cara.
It's another thing with each surgery. And I think part of it is just the more and more toxins we remove, I just feel better overall. And I don't know, it's weird.
Well, that's not weird at all. That would improve your mood. When I'm not feeling well, I'm cranky. And when I'm in pain, everything is a little bit harder, whether it's emotional pain or physical pain. So I think it's a really good story. And I want to bring up this topic that Pale Ginger Pear put on her Facebook and Instagram. Her air conditioning went out.
Yeah.
And yet she still posted saying, girl, you gotta wear your compression. Wear compression. So is that in agreement? Is everybody in agreement that even if it's hot outside?
Absolutely.
I mean, it was not fun. I was a week post-op. I had flown home Thursday, woke up Friday to my AC not working, text my landlord. He thought I just couldn't adjust the temperature and that it was on. So he didn't rush over to fix it. And I was waiting for him to show up. So by Monday night, I was like, any idea when you're showing up? Because I'm like a week and a half post-op and I'm nauseous and I'm layered head to toe in compression. I'm miserable. And he was like, oh, I didn't know it wasn't on. I'm sorry. And then he came over and he got it back on. But I knew that if I didn't wear it, the swelling, especially due to the extra heat, would be more miserable.
Yeah.
And I just flew, paid a bunch of money, had surgery. Like, I want my arms to go down. I want the skin to shrink. I was going to suffer through the arm compression because I'm not a fan of it. But I have my compression on now and have been wearing it faithfully, but I knew the benefits of it was better than like a little bit more coolness that I wasn't going to get anything.
So is it safe to say that many of you at this table who have lipedema are like, oh God, I have to wear my compression? It's not like it's yippee, I have to wear my compression.
No,
but you do. Why? Because the results are there.
I actually don't mind wearing my compression now.
Tell us.
When I first had to start wearing it, I cried when I saw them come out and what it was and how thick it was. And, you get sweaty, and I actually have punched myself in the face trying to pull it up. But now that I've worn it for so many years. When I don't wear it, it hurts. You know, I don't have that level of support that the compression gives me. So for me, I don't mind wearing my compression. I don't like when it bunches and hurts and is a pain to get on, but overall, I feel better in the compression than out of it.
Yeah. So you've actually developed a tolerance for it and even appreciation for it. So that's cool. That's good.
I will say my leg compression, like for especially my knee highs for lymphedema, like I feel weird not wearing them because I swell easier in that area with the lymphedema. And then my leggings, I feel better with them on. So like they don't bother me. It's just kind of a routine. You get up, you go to the bathroom, you brush your teeth, you put them on, you get ready for the day. The arm compression, I'm not adjusting to well at all. And I think it's because I talk with my hands and I type all day. So as I'm moving, I feel it bunches more. And I feel like it's giving me an Indian burn in my elbow. And that's very, very annoying. And I don't know how to fix it. And there's just some moments where you want to like be able to sleep without anything squeezing you in.
Yeah.
And I'm in that post-op stage where compression has to be on almost 24/7. So I don't get that relief at the moment.
Right. So we had a funny comment. Someone said, if you're not punching yourself at least once using your compression, you're doing it wrong, which is pretty funny. Dr. McHutchinson, did you have something to add? And you're muted right now. So you're muted, beautiful Dr. McHutchinson. I see your mouth. Your lips are moving.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry about that. Cara, you brought up a really good point about arm compression because it's something that we are starting to incorporate into our program that we have in North Carolina. And we've been working with our LymphoPress rep about getting we always document leg compression, but documenting arm compression is something we haven't routinely done. And there are arm attachments to the pump. So I'd like to actually do a lot of lipidemic patients. How much arm compression do you actually use on an everyday? And do any of them have the arm attachment to any of their pneumatic pumps? Because we're starting to incorporate that into our protocols. And I'd like to know if it's helpful.
Yeah.
I would like the arm attachment for my LymphoPress.
Yep.
Okay. I'm on it.
I didn't want to bug you with everything going on. So I was just like, I'll wait a little bit.
Please distract me from everything that's going on. In fact, yes, absolutely. Cassie is one of our best participants tonight. She uses her arm compression all the time. We have so many questions coming in and it's on tape. It's recorded, Cara, so you can count on me. Okay. But there's a lot of questions coming in, but I want to go to, because we're talking arms and upper extremity. Show those hands again, Cheryl.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And at the end of the last roundtable, I'm like, wow, how cool is the jewelry you're wearing? And then only to find out it's not just jewelry. So please tell all, because there's a lot of people out there watching that might be interested in this.
Right. My hand started bothering me the last year and a half or so. And I know that I bring up Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome a lot, and I'm really sorry about that. So this is another EDS type thing.
Never be sorry.
So with Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome, we will start to, since we don't build collagen, we'll start to lose some of the tendons and ligaments throughout the body. And so it seems that my hands are starting to become affected. So if any of you, if your fingers are kind of bending back at the various knuckles and the fingers, they say try not to do it. But for most of your life, it never hurts. You never really realize it, so you never really realize it. So the last year and a half or so, I've been going to multiple doctors saying I'm having trouble typing, holding coffee, holding glasses, holding plates, and they just kind of don't understand what's going on, and they kind of shrug. So I found a hand surgeon and he sent me to a hand therapist. So same type of thing. Hand therapist decided to give me this little sock and brace. So
Not
you
stylish
put on the
necessarily. I mean, it may
yeah,
be
isn't
really
this
functional.
awesome? So you put on the little sock. Oh, nice. And then you put on the little brace with Velcro. Woohoo. Now, how sanitary is that for the rest of my life? I was excited, let me tell you. So I went, this just doesn't really make sense. So and I went, I'm never going to be able to wear any rings or anything. So I rated my rings and tried to figure out how to do this. And so my hands were having trouble bending back too far here. And so I've made little chains to keep them staying forward. And a lot of people in the EDS world, they have, I don't know if you can see these very well. There we go. These little plastic pieces.
Yeah.
These can be made out of silver. And I went to the hand therapist with the brochure and I went, this is what I want. And she went, that's too expensive. I'm not going to get those for you. Here, have plastic ones. But she had a really good point. These things fall off all the time. And they just fall off and you lose them.
Yeah.
And so a really expensive silver one, it would be really expensive. So I made this little chain attached to the ring. And so now when they fall off, it just hangs there. And I don't lose them like I lost the first 5.
Punk rock dancing with you or something. Like I want to go to a nightclub and just stomp around with you in those. And I think they're the coolest things.
Cool.
And not making light. Look, it's a very practical but stylish way of dealing with.
Yeah, everyone thinks it's just jewelry. So, I'm not getting all the questions that I was getting with the brace going, oh my gosh, what happened to you? It's genetic, and having to go through the whole thing.
Don't ask what happened to you. Don't ask. Don't. If people want to tell you, they'll offer it. Little word of advice there. My goodness. Go ahead, Linda Ann. Oh, Linda Ann, I just love hearing you talk. Linda, guess what? I had a dream the other night that I came out and saw you.
Oh, well, I've invited you and I'm
Yeah, I know. And then I dreamt it. And then I thought maybe part of what I'm going to do on my healing journey is come and visit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
All right. Go for it. What did you want to share?
So I actually have a question for Dr. Herbst about the collagen. Would it help for EDS patients to take collagen type 2? Because there's collagen 1 and 3 for the hair, skin, and nails, and collagen 2 for the tendons and ligaments. Have you ever worked with that?
No, I have not.
Okay.
And the interesting thing that's been popping up in my clinical consults recently are people saying, I'm hearing on the internet that collagen is bad for EDS. And I said, well, where did you hear that? And I've tried to look and I don't know who's spreading that rumor. But when I talked to Claire Francomano, she actually presented this at the FDRS conference. And she said that she had a patient who was wanting to take collagen. She said, go ahead. I don't think it'll hurt you. And it really helped her with her pain. So she was supposed to be doing some more research into it. She's in Indiana. I sent her an email, but I haven't heard back from her. I'm sure she's really busy, but I don't know what else they found out.
Interesting. Go ahead, Patty.
I had posted something. I know we've talked about this before, and Susie pointed me in the direction of a better quality collagen, which I tried, because every time I try collagen, I have something that hurts. And the first brand I use, I got like plantar fasciitis pain in it. When I stopped it, it went away. And most recently, I was experimenting with the Vital Proteins version of the collagen, and I had this nasty back pain. And when I stopped it, it's gone away, So I'm like, all right, I'm just thinking collagen is not right for me. And I had posted about something along those lines on my page. And I think it was Curvy Girl Beck who said the Ehlers-Danlos conference that was in Florida this year, they had specifically said for hypermobile EDS, it's not good for that.
Wow.
I'd love to see the data, but obviously you had the experience. So it's doing something, and it may be some, ingredient in the collagen, or it may be some interaction with your gut. It may be changing your gut, maybe making it a little bit leakier for some reason because it changes the bacterial population. I don't know, but that could definitely lead to pain.
Go ahead, Linda Ann, and then I'm going to get to these questions, these
And
wonderful.
most of the collagen is from animal, but I've been using a marine plankton collagen. So I don't know how that would be. Just an idea.
And Susie, I see your face. You're processing all this because you were talking about the fact that you source your collagen very specifically.
Well, there's different, what Linda Kahn was saying about the different types of collagen. I haven't really dived into that, but I started hearing bits and pieces of that because honestly, I feel better when I have collagen, but I had the same thing. That was why I told Patty about the vital proteins, but I don't even take the vital proteins. I take one that's part of a company called Modir, but I think that there's also ingredients in it that I'm not in love with. Mm-hmm. So, but my hair's been growing here. So I'm like, maybe it's the wrong collagen because it's not what I'm trying to fix. Not that it isn't great, but that's not, I'm uncomfortable because also I have EDS as well. And it's especially when I sleep, finding a place to put my arm with my elbow is a challenge, as stupid as that sounds. But like, if I don't sit right, it kind of bends backwards and does its thing.
Oh,
And then
wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Something, someone mentioned FDRS, and I just saw on the website that April 22nd, 2022, they're having it in Cleveland, Ohio. And I want us to do a live in-person roundtable and have live audience and virtual audience. And let's bring this party together so we can really be in a room together. I would love that. If you're interested in that, let me know, because we'll try and pull that thing off. Let's get to some real quick questions here. I'll start from the bottom up. Danielle McGarvey says she can't sweat anymore. Is it because she has too much fluid and too many nodules in the way? Sweating, anyone? I will say this. I'll say something and then I'll let you talk. Kelly Maynard, who is a lipedema lady who has had amazing results with her LymphaPress Optimal Plus, said she finally started to sweat again after she used the LymphaPress. She has the Lympha Pants and the Lympha Jacket. She lost 30 inches so far and many pounds. It's shocking, but she can sweat again. So maybe there is something to this. What were you going to say, Cheryl?
Well, I know when I was first diagnosed with lipedema, I didn't even realize that I had stopped sweating, but I had. I had also lost the hair on my legs. And after I had started improving, I was able to sweat again and the hair started coming back on my legs.
How about that? That's interesting. Good.
I think when you get your lymphatics flowing properly, that the sweating can kind of be picked back up again. I have no issues sweating.
Well, go ahead, Linda.
Yeah, because your sweat glands and your oil glands are in the dermis, which is the extracellular matrix. So it actually makes sense that once you decongested, those would function more efficiently.
That makes perfect sense. I love it. So if I still sweat and have hair on my legs, does that mean my lymphatics are not impaired, says Lori Pellemans?
Not necessarily.
Oops.
You can have all different levels of lymphatic impairment. So you could have the fine endings within the skin or the larger, deeper lymphatics. You just don't know, or the structure of the lymphatics can be different, but you still look like, somebody else who doesn't have as much sweating or hair loss. And also, if you don't sweat as much, you may have some autonomic dysfunction. And a lot of women with lipedema, especially the ones who have Ehlers-Danlos, may have autonomic dysfunction.
Wow, very interesting. Lindy.
I'll add something as well. So one of the things we do see with venous disease is that venous disease causes inflammation in the tissue. And it's very common for people to stop having their hair growth because of the inflammation in their tissue, in their dermis, like Anne was saying. And so once the veins are treated and we get the inflammation improved, hair frequently reoccurs. So I'm not saying it's venous disease, but I'm saying the inflammation in the tissue from the lipedema and the congestion and the lymphatic dysfunction causing inflammation could also contribute to the hair loss that actually begins to grow again when the decongestion and the inflammation are sort of immobilized.
That's a great explanation. So let me go through some other questions. Jamaleth Dipko wants to know, any tips on eczema and compression?
I can't say necessarily from the compression side of it, but I will say that I have dealt with dry skin and eczema throughout my life. One of the things that was best for me in general was getting rid of like Bath and Body Works type of products and going to something that was pH balanced pretty well for my skin. I think it was like 7 is good. So I use Eucerin now. And since I do have eczema and I tend to get more flaky than perhaps normal people do, I also layer on an African body oil, which is not specifically for Black people, so anyone can use it. But I've noticed that we have a little bit of a difficulty getting nutrients to the top layer of our skin. So a lighter oil is kind of decent for our skin texture. Well, for my skin texture. I don't know if that's for everyone, but that's what I do.
Thanks for sharing that, Lippy. Go ahead, Lindy.
We also see eczema with venous disease for the same reason. All the inflammation in the skin can cause eczema, and it can cause itching. And once that inflammation is improved, the eczema and the itching can improve. So I suspect the same inflammatory process that we see with lipedema and the fibrosis with lipedema and the inflammation with the lymphatic dysfunction that is most likely contributing to maybe some of the eczema and the hair loss. I agree with Dr. Herbst that the dysautonomia is probably also affecting the sweating. So I think it's probably all the same process. It's just manifesting in different ways.
Interesting. So one of the first questions of the evening is something, Cara, you addressed on one of your recent posts, which was using this phrase, what is a connective tissue disorder? And then Amanda Hadaway asks, when I'm describing lipedema to others, I'm unsure if I should say it's a disorder or a disease. And is there a difference between the two?
So I kind of switch up what word I use, I guess, depending on who I'm talking to. I'll say disease, I'll say condition, I'll say disorder. I kind of just read who I'm talking to and what like they would understand better or what they would take serious. Some would brush off a condition, but a disease, oh, okay. Like, you know, you kind of got to play your audience to get your point across. So I feel as long as you get the general idea to them that like, this is a real thing. We're not just lazy, we're in pain. Your wording is not as important. That's kind of like my approach to it. But yeah, connective tissue disorder is what I've been asked a lot about. And one of the like definitions that I had used and another Instagram had used and stuff was that it's the tissue that supports and protects your structure. And it can be made up of, you know, cells or fibers. And so it's just like your bone, your cartilage, and the lymphatic tissue. And then someone had actually shared on Instagram, and I saved it. The Instagram was the Fat Doctor UK, and she said when she was diving into research for EDS and hypermobility, she learned that if you cannot connect the issue, think connective tissue.
Oh.
And I thought like that was a great little phrase of a way to kind of like look at things, that there's more to it.
No, I get it. But you know what I love? This is why you are such a media darling. You know how to speak to your audience. I love what Sandy Darley just put in chat, which is tell everybody it's contagious and watch their heads spin. That was pretty funny, Sandy. We really like that. We like the levity tonight. So to our wonderful doctors on the panel, does it matter? Disorder, disease?
There are pretty clear definitions. I've forgotten them all. The difference between a condition, a disorder, and a disease, and you can Google them. I think disease, I have to look it up, but I think disease has a specific cause. And so I don't think that we can cause lipedema a disease.
Gotcha.
You know, it's definitely a condition. We have to just Google the nomenclature, because scientifically there are definitions, and we can Google if somebody will do that for me. And then that can clarify that pretty quickly. But I agree with Cara, when you're trying to sort of get your point across that this is something that I don't have control over. It's something that happened to me. It's something I didn't ask for. And this is something that's not my fault. And that I think that in the general public, I agree with you, whether it doesn't matter what you use, as long as you convey that this is not something that I asked for. It's not something that I did myself.
Perfectly stated. Love it. So Mitzi Lambert, Mitzi, we're so glad that you're with us tonight. And she wants to know how we can get more information about quadrivis massage to reduce the effects of lipedema. Are there any future studies planned? Where can she get training? This is like 10 questions in one. Is the Netherlands the only country to get this treatment? Inquiring minds want to know.
So we invited Alina Ekma from the Netherlands to come over to the US and do deep tissue therapy. And she learned how to do massage while she was in Thailand, and she kind of adapted it. And she really felt like she was treating the veins when she did the massage. She was gonna train somebody here in the US, but I guess she wanted to start up a school, which she did in the Netherlands. And I think she needed to focus on that. And so if you wanted to go get training, you would have to go to the Netherlands at this point. I know she was going to make part of it online and part of it in person. And she was really adamant that people who did the training were younger and stronger, because it really requires a lot of muscles and your entire body to actually do that kind of therapy. So right now there is no plan to bring quadrivis here to the US at this time.
And I see you nodding. Go ahead, Linda Ann.
Well, I was in that initial training, and you do need to be extremely fit and strong to do that treatment.
Okay, interesting. So that seems odd, though, that it wouldn't come to the United States. Is that just me? I mean,
I don't know if Dr. Herbst has heard of the place in Arizona called the Fluid Factor, but they were talking about doing some sort of an oncology massage that they were, I think maybe a few years ago, they were trying to say that they learned it through the quadrivis originators, but now it sounds like maybe they didn't learn it directly from them.
Maybe it's a variant of it.
Yeah, I think, I've filmed her doing it on a number of the research participants, and, it's definitely a deep tissue therapy. She goes all the way down to the bone over time in layers, and she treats the whole body from the top of the head to the bottom of the foot. And it was very painful for the participants. I think you could probably cobble together something that was similar. And I said, it looks like what you're doing is kind of myofascial therapy. And she said, I definitely am doing some myofascial therapy.
Interesting. Well, I like that topic, but Yvonne English wants to go back to Cara for a minute. And she wants to know, I just love when I say Cara's name, she's just like sitting there and she goes, like, oh, she called on me. How many surgeries have you had, little Miss PGP?
5.
5.
Yeah. Started with the front of the lower legs, then the saddlebags, then the interior thighs, then the large scale tummy tuck. And then this last one, I joke, was kind of like a double surgery because we did the removal of the lipedema in the arms. And then because maybe he was tired of hearing me complain, I don't know, but he thought while I was on my stomach for the arms, he was going to tackle some more of the saddlebags from the back and the butt shelf as long as my arms cooperated. And apparently they did because he did like the butt shelf and the saddlebags. So we worked on that area with the arms as well.
Oh man, and if you haven't seen the photos, you have got to follow her. I don't think anybody hasn't seen the photos. It's shocking and beautiful, really. Were you going to say something, Angelique, or were you just saying praise the Lord? Yeah, I saw that.
I was surprised at how much he took. It was like he took a little over 3 liters per arm.
Wow.
And then I think like another like 6 or so with the saddlebag and butt shelf. Like it was quite a bit out, and I wasn't expecting it. So like nothing I brought to wear fit right afterwards.
So what people are seeing behind you is the progression of how you have reduced.
Yeah.
It's like, it's different every month practically that we get together. And
I can't wait to do the arms in that now.
wow. You haven't done the arms yet? Oh, wow.
No.
Okay, that's going to be super cool. Love it. I want to mention that there was a post, Patty, that you called flexibility our superpower and our Achilles heel. And I want to know what the heck you meant by that.
Well, I'm somebody who has the hypermobile EDS. I'm starting to get to that realization. And I've always been incredibly flexible. Like, I like being in the bottom of my squat. And there are some times when I feel like we're able to do that because we have loose connective tissue and we're able to be a lot more flexible than we might be, especially at somebody my size, if I didn't have that. But at the same token, I have to be very mindful that I'm not twisting an ankle or a knee or, tweaking the hip or the back, so that you're flexible, but you have to be mindful. So like we were doing a workout that was all about twisting. It was playing ultimate Frisbee in the park. And all that twisting is not good for me. So I have to come up with my own modifications and other, workouts that I can do. And so, yeah, I was like, in one hand, it feels like this is this great thing. And I love being as flexible as I am. But on the other hand, I'm constantly being mindful, even just walking, so I don't twist an ankle.
Wow. Well, that explains that post. I was like, what is that? What does she mean by that? So that's interesting. Sue Hunt asks a question about diet. Now, we always add this. I should have said this at the very start. We never give medical advice, and we respect everybody's journey is unique. We're not going to say, oh, you need to do this and you need to do that. This is for you to decide. We just like to provide information. Sue Hunt wants to know if everybody follows the keto diet recommended for lipedema. And the answer is no. And it's not a one size fits all situation here. There are perhaps some of you does anybody here at the table follow the keto diet? Okay, so Susie, you can speak to it. Has it been successful for you?
So I vacillate between keto and low carb. What I did find is that my swelling greatly reduced when I eliminated any kind of starchy carbs and grains, and obviously sugar or anything like that. was a huge game changer for me. I was doing extensive travel before the beginning of 2020, like all over the globe, a lot. And I would swell and it was terrible and it was always brutal. And when I went low carb, that stopped. I could travel, I could fly across the country, and my feet wouldn't be ginormous when I arrived. And that for me was everything. And so then I kind of adopted that and kept that. But you still have to, even with the keto diet, there's a lot of bad fats that are sometimes included in different foods. And then you've got seed oils, and you've got, you know, this is a condition that deals with inflammation. So I strongly believe that each person has to find what's right for them. That is reducing inflammation. Like that's what I'm always thinking with. So yes, I follow a ketogenic diet, but that doesn't mean that I'm like every keto snack in my face. That's not what I'm doing either.
But the gummy bears are awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Yummy, yummy gummy bears. But, you know, so this whole topic, we've heard a lot in chat tonight, people saying keto saved my life. And then someone else said keto put me in the hospital. So it is very individual. And Cheryl, I would love for you to weigh in on this because you're very into food sensitivities and how our bodies individually react to food.
Exactly. I guess I'll have to say it's kind of my theory, but yes, carbs are definitely very reactive to a lot of people. But personally for me, I found that carbs wasn't my issue. So I was becoming inflamed and I was sensitive to a lot of other types of foods. My big one was scallops. We've talked about that in plenty. But I've tried scallops 2 different times in my life. And each time I gained 6 pounds and was sick for 5 days. So it really inflames me. And some of my other ones were seeds and nuts. And I've reacted to vegetables. I've reacted to coffee at different parts. But one of the things, if you do believe in the sensitivity thing where the body becomes sensitive to a particular item because of a leaky gut, then it is possible to overcome that sensitivity if you're able to cut that food out for as small as 2 weeks to as long as 2 years. And so it's very possible to be able to get those foods back into your diet again. And so that's it. And I think possibly that's one of the reasons why keto works for a large number of women, because they're sensitive to carbs. And AIP works for a large number of women because they're sensitive to the foods that AIP cuts out of their diet. And why some do carnivore and cut out all plants and they're doing great. And some others cut out all meats and only eat vegetables and they're doing great. But there's so many others who try every one of those diets and it doesn't work for them. So you need to just find what you in particular are sensitive to and what diet can work for you to cut out those things that inflame you.
Excellent. Susie.
I just want to add one thing, just as a for example, many years ago, I did an ALCAT test, which tests your allergies to certain foods. And I was surprised to find that I didn't do well with chicken. So I do have chicken every now and then, but imagine if I went on the keto diet and I didn't have that test and I wasn't intuitive. If I was eating a lot of chicken, I would be a hot mess. So for me, I do really well with ribeye. And it's grass-fed, grass-finished, and that is my happy thing. That with a little bit of veg, and I am absolutely delighted, and I do great. But other things, like if I go heavy dairy, I get inflamed. It's terrible. But if I have some sheep's dairy, it's okay. It's kind of weird, but like this is what I mean. Like it's navigating that and finding what's causing and driving the inflammation. I think that's the most important thing, and then you can, experience it as you go.
Another question came in about elimination diets, and I'm going to lean on you, Cheryl, for this as well. How long does it take for an elimination diet to show what's what? Like, how long do you have to eliminate just that to be able to connect the dots to, ooh, this is something real?
So typically, if you remove the foods that you're sensitive to, within 2 weeks, you're going to be feeling better. And then in order to determine whether you're sensitive to a particular item, some people say, you can start testing and reintroducing that food. And if you react to it, then cut it back out and so forth. And they say that it's between 2 months and 2 years to be able to reintroduce a food back in. And so you might just keep reacting. It might take that long for the antibodies in the body to die off. So there's a difference between sensitivities and allergies. There are many who say that you're never able to overcome an allergy, but you're able to overcome a sensitivity. And I saw that someone asked what the Aip diet is. That stands for autoimmune protocol. And Sarah Ballantyne is one of the doctors that put that diet together. And she has the paleomom.com. So you can take a look at the diet through there.
Paleomom.com. I like that, has a nice ring to it. I like that. Lippy Butterfly, you did a post about taking mental breaks and lippy body breaks. And I think self-care is something that we talk about every month, but it's so important, and sometimes you just need to be reminded to be good to yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself. Why are you expecting so much? Really be gentle and kind to yourself. But I'll let you say it, Lippy.
Well, so much was going on. Like I said earlier, we're in the middle of a move. My mom was moving here from Indianapolis. She's 80 years old just this past month. So with me just now getting accustomed to living, out in the world and not in a nursing home anymore. Now, we're trying to buy a house and we're moving things from Indianapolis to a different city. And I'm moving stuff from across town to a place in Arizona that I've never even spent any time. And I started to feel a little bit guilty about the fact that I wasn't paying a lot of attention to my social media platforms and stuff like that. But Kelly Maynard, I think I talk about her all the time. She's my nutritionist, and she was so kind throughout this entire process and reminding me to take time for myself. Like, what did you do for you? And it's like, well, I talked to the house company and I looked at this diet and I did this, but what did you actually do for you? And we go through so much stress throughout our day. We know that binds up our tissues. We have to find things that will help us to relax. Some of the things that I've been doing right now is honestly in the morning, just sitting on my porch and looking at the birds and watching the people play golf and things like that, and just breathing and remembering that the breath is really good for our lymphatic system, taking moments to actually just breathe and not worry about whether we're going to do RAD right now or keto right now, but I'm going to enjoy my kitchen right now. And so actually that has helped me tremendously. It helped me to make some strawberry brownies that were sugar-free and a sugar-free cream cheese frosting that I'm very happy about. And I just took my time to do it. I'm not trying to stress out about anything right now. So I kind of want to just encourage all the lipedema community, like when things get kind of heavy and no matter what's really kind of going on, remember to take time for yourself. Remember to find things that you enjoy. Not just things that you feel like you need, but things that you enjoy and that bring you peace and bring you happiness.
I love when you speak because, man, I needed to hear that. The other night for dinner, true confessions, I'm so sorry. I'm a bad example. I ate a whole bag of biscotti because that was dinner. That's what was for dinner in my world. And I thought, you know what? I'm not being good to myself right now. It's like I feel bad and now I'm punishing myself on top. And then I'll feel bad in the morning because I ate the bag of biscotti. And sometimes you just need to give yourself a lot of grace too, because you're going to blow it. Are you always going to do the absolutely right thing? No, but there's space and there's grace for all of that. So Marcia Witt wants to say that Cara's gluten-free cookies are the best ever. And Megan appreciates your encouragement. Before we are running out of time, I cannot believe this. There was something I wanted to share from Linda Anne Kahn that was particularly touching and inspirational. But I also want to say that we got a lot of stuff coming up. The next time we all get together, I will have met in person Dr. Karen Herbst. I will be in the same room as Linda Anne Kahn and Dr. Lindy McHutchenson, because we are going to be at the AVLS conference. And Dr. Herbst is going to walk us through the standard of care for lipedema in the United States, and LymphoPress is sponsoring that breakfast meeting. And we will have mimosas for everyone, Dr. Herbst. I told Eric we have got to toast this thing because the standard of care is worth celebrating. So I'm super excited about that. Someone mentioned a webinar. The Lymphatic Code is a new book coming out by Leslyn Keith, and LymphoPress is sponsoring that webinar. We'll send all of you who have registered for tonight the link so you can go to that free webinar as well. Dr. Herbst and Dr. McHutchenson and Linda Anne Kahn, are there any gems of wisdom that you'd like to give us before we close out tonight?
Well, what I'd like to say is we're just going into Yom Kippur, which is the holiest night for the Jewish people, and it's really for atonement. And I want to just read something to you because I think it's good for everybody, but mostly it's about forgiveness and it's about healing. To those I may have wronged, I ask forgiveness. To those I may have helped, I wish I had done more. To those I neglected to help, I ask for understanding. To those who helped me, I thank you with all my heart. And so that's what I wish for all of you, healing, and most of all, forgive yourself.
That was so special and so powerful. And before I share what you put, that saved my life, by the way, Dr. Lindy Anne Kahn. Anybody else want to say anything before I do this drop the mic moment here? Because I think it'll really help everybody. Hey, I'm not the only one going through stuff around here. If anybody else is facing a challenge, Linda Anne Kahn posted this from Hopi Indian chief White Eagle. The moment humanity is experiencing can be seen as a door or a hole. The decision to fall in the hole or walk through the door is up to you. If you consume the news 24 hours a day with negative energy, constantly nervous with pessimism, you will fall into a hole. But if you take the opportunity to look at yourself, to rethink life and death, to take care of yourself and others, then you will walk through the portal. Take care of your home. Take care of your body. Connect with your spiritual home. When you take care of yourself, you take care of everyone at the same time. Do not underestimate the spiritual dimension of this crisis. Take the perspective of an eagle that sees everything from above with a broader view. There is a social question in this crisis, but also a spiritual question. The two go hand in hand. Are you ready to face this crisis? Grab your toolbox and the tools at your disposal. Learn resistance from the example of Indian and African peoples. We have been and are exterminated, but we never stopped singing, dancing, lighting a fire, and rejoicing. Don't feel guilty for being blessed in troubled times. Being sad or angry doesn't help at all. Resistance is resistance through joy. And there's more to it, but I want you to know that that saved my life in the last few weeks, Linda Anne Kahn. And in any challenge we're all facing, there is a hole that we can fall into, and it's dark. But there is a door, and we can walk through the door, and the door is where the light and the life and the love is. And so I'm going to walk through that door. And I hope everybody here tonight will walk through the door too, whenever they're faced with that choice. Thank you, everybody, for being here tonight, for supporting each other, being a part of the lipedema community. It's an honor and a privilege. If we can help serve you in any way, reach out to us. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. We love you. Have a great night. Oh, and next month, costumes. It's going to be October. It's Halloween, costumes. We'll see you next month. Take care, everybody. Bye.